Joining us now, U.S. Senator from Illinois, Tammy Duckworth. She is a member of the Armed Services Committee, which voted on party lines Monday to send Hegseth's nomination to the Senate floor. Republicans sent him, not Democrats. This new allegation, are you hearing any talk among the committee or maybe some of your Republican colleagues that this does, in fact, make them uncomfortable?
Well, they're not admitting to it out loud. And in fact, they are trying to shove through his confirmation as quickly as possible before more news can break of more allegations and more affidavits coming forward that speak to how unfit he is to be Secretary of Defense. And this is the problem. The Trump administration, when they requested the FBI background check on him, only requested a partial check, and they've refused to even share that report with the Democrats on the committee. And now they're trying to shove through his confirmation without even further, looking into these allegations.
Why are you? Is there one reason above others that you're a hard no for Hegseth? Is it these allegations? What is it for you?
Well, he's just not qualified for the job. I mean, bottom line, he spoke at length about how he didn't want to lower the standards in the military to allow women to serve fully in combat. And yet he wants us to lower the standards for him. He's only ever led more than 200 people or fewer. The largest budget he was ever in charge of was $18 million. I asked him if he'd ever supervise an audit, because one of the things that's happening within the Department of Defense is they've never passed an audit successfully, and he has never passed an audit or led an audit. And in fact, he so badly mangled one of the organizations he led, they had to bring in a forensic accountant to figure out what the heck he did with the $10 million budget they had. And now he wants to lead the Pentagon, which has a budget of over $850 billion. I mean, he's just not qualified. I asked him very simple questions about, what type of international negotiations would you have to engage in as a Secretary of Defense? And he couldn't answer that. And he's going to have to lead. He's going to have to go toe-to-toe with the Secretary of Defense of the People's Republic of China, and he won't be able to stand up to them. So he's just on the merits of doing the job. He's not qualified, let alone all these allegations of passing out while, drunk in uniform, going to strip joints in uniform, having to be carried out of bars. No soldier would ever get promoted with those types of behaviors on the record. And yet my Republican colleagues seem to think that's okay for somebody who wants to be Secretary of Defense.
Joni Ernst was just asked about this, and we don't have the sound loaded, but I can tell you what she said. She said it's really hard to buy into the affidavit, the sworn statement from the former sister-in-law, when the ex-wife also swore that it did not happen. So it sounds like this is not going to sway her vote. She was somebody that people were looking toward because, she's a veteran. She's also been the victim of abuse. Do you know why Joni Ernst would not be swayed by this, or why she's, just take the allegations out of it, why she would get behind somebody like Pete Hegseth?
Well, let's just start off by saying that the ex-wife did not swear that it did happen. There was a statement that came out from her lawyers. Remember that this ex-wife is dependent on Mr. Hegseth for child support. And that she has very young children, and she has expressed deep fear of him in the past. And so if you look at what she has said or what her lawyers have said, they're very carefully made statements. And so at no point has she swore that this has never happened. So let's be clear about that. I think that Joni Ernst, when she came out and said initially that she had some concerns about Pete Hegseth, immediately was flooded with attacks from the MAGA far right-wing crowd, so much so. I mean, and even highest levels of the Trump administration, those closest to President Trump, said everything from you will never win re-election, you will be primaried, so much so that she, not long after that, surprisingly came out and said, I don't actually have any reservations anymore. I think this is all about people buckling under to Donald Trump. And it is really quite sad because this is about the operational readiness of our United States military. This is about the men and women who wear the uniform of this great nation, and us having here in the Senate the responsibility to ensure that they are safeguarded and supported when we ask them to go out and do the most difficult job possible, which is defending our freedom and our liberties.
Yeah, it has been a lot of pressure from Donald Trump and his allies. Senator Tammy Duckworth, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you.